Welcome everyone to Things Around 8. Dear friends, in this video we will talk about a recent statement made by President Biden, advising Israel against attacking Iran's oil and nuclear facilities, suggesting that the Israelis think of alternatives. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now and activate the notification bells so you don't miss any news. In a statement made this Friday, October 4th at the White House, President Biden advised Israel against attacking Iranian oil facilities, as he fears that this will raise the price of a barrel of oil on the international market. Biden also reinforced a suggestion made last week for Israel not to attack Iranian nuclear facilities. Regarding Iranian oil facilities, as I have said in recent videos here on the channel, they are terribly vulnerable to large and concentrated airstrikes, with more than 95% of Iranian oil exports passing through the Karg Island terminal in the Persian Gulf. Since around 50% of the Iranian economy depends on oil exports through that terminal, if Karg Island were attacked and the facilities destroyed, the theocratic regime in Tehran would lose half of its revenue. With such a sudden and sharp drop in revenue, all of Iran's military programs would be indirectly affected, including the drone and missile development program and especially the Iranian nuclear program, the most expensive and complex of all. However, an attack like this would have very negative repercussions on the international oil market, and therefore would have the potential to attract large and forceful statements and positions of repudiation, even more so than those Israel is already receiving now. Another negative point of an attack of this type is that the effects on Iran's military programs would be limited. It would certainly delay the development of Iran's most strategic programs. However, in the medium and long term, after the reconstruction and reactivation of the terminal, and with the price of oil at an all-time high, this delay could be compensated for with extra investments. And that is why many analysts argue that an Israeli attack, to be complete, must also include Iran's nuclear facilities. The only way for Israel to effectively delay Iran's nuclear and missile program for years or even decades would be through attacks targeting the Iranian regime's research centers and, at the same time, its source of revenue, the aforementioned oil facilities and, most importantly, the Karg Island terminal. But to do so, Israel will face two major obstacles, the first being Iran's defenses. Everything Iran currently has in terms of air defenses is concentrated around its nuclear research centers and the Karg Island terminal. There are hundreds of short, medium and long-range air defenses, supported by dozens of radars spread throughout Iranian territory. Does this mean that these targets are unattainable? No, of course not, especially for Israel, with state-of-the-art offensive assets like the F-35. But it does mean that they are very difficult targets to hit. This is quite the opposite of what Israel is doing now in Lebanon and Yemen, with precision strikes against depots and installations in Iran. To do this, the Israelis will have to get through successive layers of air defenses that are currently at maximum readiness. If Israel really wants to, it will certainly get through and destroy a good part of those installations. But the material and human cost to Israel of such an attack will probably be very high. And it is to be expected that some of the original strike force will be lost to Israeli pilots shot down or captured. The other obstacle to Israel doing this will be a declaration of war, which will most certainly come from Iran. The Iranians have impressive capabilities in terms of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles and long-range drones. In the attack on April 13th to 14th, Iran launched 170 drones, 30 cruise missiles and 120 ballistic missiles. And in the attack on October 1st, it launched almost 200 ballistic missiles. But to respond to a silent attack of this magnitude, affecting both oil and nuclear facilities, the Iranians will certainly respond with everything they have in their arsenal. This means thousands of drones, such as the Shahed-136, which has caused so much devastation in Ukraine, thousands of cruise missiles and 2,000 to 3,000 long-range ballistic missiles. All of this, launched in a short period of time, is capable of overwhelming any air defense, including Israel's. Which means that if the Israelis really want to do the job, in addition to striking Iran's oil and nuclear facilities, they will also have to attack the leadership of the theocratic regime in Iran, who are the people who could order such a massive retaliatory strike against Israel. A strike of this magnitude has all the potential to plunge the Middle East into war, catapulting oil prices into the stratosphere and forcing the United States to send even more military assets to the region than it already has. And that is why President Biden does not want Israeli strikes against Iran's nuclear and oil facilities, with the White House preferring to see Israel carry out some more limited strikes against a few Iranian military bases and missile launchers. But Israel sees all this from a very different perspective. If the situation in Israel today is already serious, with the country surrounded by paramilitary organizations armed and financed by Iran, the prospect of a nuclear-armed Iran is seen by Israelis as a genuinely existential risk, because they know that the Iranians could, in a flash of insanity, order nuclear strikes against Israel. And that is why many Israeli politicians and military leaders argue that now is the time to eliminate this risk forever. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any news.